Hello everyone, it's Rachel. Welcome back to Book and Bloom. Today I'm going to be sharing my favorite books for winter. I know that I just made a bunch of videos for fall. I wanted to go ahead and make this one a lot sooner than I made those videos, just so that you guys had plenty of time to actually read them in winter time. I have quite a variety of books to share with you guys today, but before all of that, with all of these videos, I'd like to start off with defining what I think a winter read is and why I picked some of these books that I'm sharing today. And it's not just because some of them are kind of wintry. What is winter in a book? Because you have Christmas time, of course, you have that aspect. You have Christmas, so anything with Christmas in a book is definitely perfect, very fitting. It can also be a very moody season for a lot of people. A lot of people struggle with like seasonal depression and things like that, so I have some moody books, but then I also have some heartwarming books, because sometimes you need a heartwarming book during this time of year. It can just be kind of hard because you're inside more, it's really cold outside, days are shorter, maybe you are busy with school during this time or work and you're just ready to have your break. I actually chose to pick books that were more based in reality, and they might have magical aspects to them. It's more grounded in reality and has some whimsy and magic to it, because I think that that can be really special, to remember that life is special. Friendships and your family and people around you can really make your life so much brighter and so much warmer during this very cold time of year. Now, I live in the South, so I don't have to deal with snow. I actually pray for snow every year, just a little bit, just a little bit, instead of fantasizing about a different reality, a different world. Actually stay grounded in the world and remember the joys and the beauty that exist around us. So those are the reasons why I picked these books. So now I'm gonna go ahead and get into my recommendations. So my first recommendation I thought was very relevant for this time is All the Light We Cannot See. I wanted to bring this up now because Netflix actually came out with a limited series based on this book, and the book is wonderful. This is set during World War II. It follows a girl, a French girl who's blind, and a young boy who is German, and he's being trained to be a soldier. By fate, their stories get intertwined. This was a really well written book. I mean, it won a Pulitzer Prize. It's very interesting the way it's formatted because it's a fragmented timeline. It's really cool having the different perspectives. There's actually several perspectives through this book. 3 of them that are consistent. There's the girl, the boy, and then there's this man who is basically one of the antagonists of the book. And there's kind of a fantastical element to this book because there's this idea of this, I don't know if it's a diamond or a gem or a rock or something, some sort of stone that is believed to have some sort of ability, magic ability. I don't know, I don't remember if it's like immortality or something like that. Definitely not for the faint of heart. I know I talked about having some heartwarming books. This is not necessarily a heartwarming book. The other books I will get into are heartwarming. Prepare to cry, because I mean, I feel like you can just tell with like a book like this that you're just going to cry. A somber, heavier book. I really loved the differences in the writing style based on the character that you were following. So, of course, the blind girl, I mean, she experiences life through her other senses. And so there's a greater emphasis, of course, on her other senses. Yeah, if you want more of a moody, sad, historical fiction book that has some fantastical elements to it, just a little bit, it's just kind of an element of the story. Oh, and I will say that the chapters can be really short. That makes this book really easy to read. Kind of little scenes in a movie and little like images almost, because you don't just follow these characters, you also, you see a variety of kind of scenes that really sets the tone. I hope you guys will enjoy this book if you give it a read. Next, I feel like I had to recommend Little Women. I feel like this is the perfect book that just warms your heart and makes you appreciate your family and the people that are in your life. If you've never read Little Women, you definitely need to change that. It's just one of those classics. It's funny, it's heartwarming, it's beautiful, it's sad. You get to experience a lot of different perspectives and mini stories through each of the girls and their lives. The reason why we're still making adaptations of Little Women, like the most recent Greta Gerwig film, is because this book is just so beautiful and so special and so heartwarming. I keep on saying that, but I loved every minute of this book. I want to read it again now just talking about it. I highly recommend this. I just feel it's perfect for winter because sometimes you just need a hug in a book form, and I feel like Little Women is a group hug from Jo, Beth, Meg, and Amy. So there you go. Moving on with a very different genre and tonal shift, we have Murder on the Orient Express. Now, I have talked about this book quite a lot, but I wanted to bring it up for this video because it's just the perfect Agatha Christie during this time, because they're trapped on this train in the middle of nowhere surrounded by snow. So you have the cold, wintry, snowy feel to this book, obviously because of their scenario. It's of course a murder mystery, and you're following Hercule Poirot. This is one of Agatha Christie's most famous works, and it is definitely very interesting book. Crazy plot twist. There's a lot of characters to keep up with, I will say that, so just be prepared for that, because Agatha Christie loves her characters. I don't know, I mean, a lot of times I would forget the characters and I still was able to read the book and follow along. It's helpful to remember the characters, so maybe you can take notes just to kind of help you understand some of the characters, and that would be fun because then you can kind of be your own detective. And that's why I love Agatha Christie books, is just the twist, the reveal is left to the very end. So you have the whole time to follow Hercule Poirot around. You get to witness the confessions, the conversations, his own investigation of the crime scene. You get to follow him along and be kind of like his sidekick and kind of experience what it would be like to investigate a crime. And then you have a little bit of time to kind of figure out your own theories about what happened, and then at the end it's revealed what happened, and most of the time your brain will somersault in your head. Oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. I did not see that, but it makes so much sense now that I see that. I love this book. It's great. It definitely deserves all the hype. There's so many different adaptations of this book, so if you want to watch a movie that's based on this book after you read it, then you have plenty of options to select from. I felt like the most recent one, I really liked the cinematography in that movie. That was one thing I remembered. It just had these really interesting shots. And so, I mean, I guess it's up to debate if that was a good movie or not. It definitely took some creative liberties. I enjoyed it. I think I watched that movie before I read the book. It made me want to read the book. I feel like that's a good thing, If the movie makes you want to read the book, then that's a good thing. Sometimes you watch movies based on books and you're just like, well, I watched the movie, so I don't need to read the book now. That is my mystery. I feel like I have to, at this rate, I have to have a mystery to recommend in pretty much every season because mystery is just so fun. Moving on now, I feel like I had to include A Christmas Carol in my recommendations for winter. Just because if you haven't read this book, I just feel like you just need to read it. It's very short. I just love Charles Dickens. I just love his writing. I feel like all of his books all of his books that I've read of his, I haven't read too many, but his writing is just so cozy. There's something about it. And so this is just the perfect little Christmas tale. It is very famous. Everyone's familiar with the basics, you know, or at least they know of Scrooge. It's just very timeless. It's such a timeless story. People have become numb to it, I guess, because it's been adapted in so many different ways. I think sometimes returning back to the original material can help you appreciate it more, because we've just kind of blown it out of proportion a little bit. I would say maybe even read it on Christmas or Christmas Eve. You'll be able to read it probably in 1 or 2 sittings, depending on how fast a reader you are. I'm gonna grab some of my coffee before it gets cold. Cheers. This is your cue to grab some coffee if you don't have coffee, or tea, whatever you prefer. Maybe some matcha, maybe an iced coffee, maybe a cappuccino. And this is the last book that I actually physically own. The rest of the books that I will be recommending I don't own, unfortunately. Even though I love these books, I really need to change that, but you know, books are expensive and I'm a college student, so that says it all. The next book that I wanted to recommend to you guys is The Invention of Hugo Cabret. So do not be intimidated by this book. I know this looks like how do you read this? This is a weapon. I know that you could look at this and be scared, especially like this side part. That's kind of scary. There's an eyeball on it. This is what it looks like. I just love that. I just feel like that looks so nice and sleek on my bookshelf. So yeah, anyways, don't be scared, because gosh, most of the pages are actually illustrations. It's set during winter, I believe, in France, in Paris, and you're just following this little boy who I think he might live in a train station, and he is homeless, and you slowly uncover details about him, but basically he's an orphan and he is just trying to survive, and so he pickpockets and he steals things from people. And so he gets in a lot of trouble because of that. And he ends up meeting this girl, making friends with her, and basically he gets wrapped up in this situation with her. And this book is just so beautiful. It starts off kind of sad and somber, but the ending is just so magical and heartwarming. Take a sip of your coffee every single time I say heartwarming. I'll try to stop saying that word, but like that's kind of the theme of a lot of these books. Sorry. Sorry if that's annoying. This book has kind of themes of like film and magic like magicians. I think Hugo doesn't really know a lot about his family, his past, so you kind of get to uncover some secrets, you know, some mysteries. This is very whimsical, very sweet. It's a children's book, it's a middle grade book, so it's an easy read. This book will definitely make you feel that nostalgic, you know, childhood feel, and I feel like that's perfect for this time of the year. You know, I don't know, it just feels like a good time to just reminisce, relive a little bit of those days, because sometimes we can kind of get wrapped up into the consumerism of Christmas, or just forget kind of the wonder and the magic that we had during this time of year. Christmas kind of becomes just another time of year. And I don't want to feel that way. I still think that it's magical. I still think that it's a special time of year. And so I want to capture that. I want to remember that, because I think that can really help us to actually look to appreciate what we have instead of focusing on what we don't have, because life is, society is a lot of that. You don't have this, you don't have that. That's what social media is most of the time. That's what advertisement is. And so if you can actually learn to be content and to look for the things in life, the little things in life that you can actually appreciate and get excited for, then life seems so much more magical and so much more special, and you don't feel as thrown by the wind as you would have if you just allowed yourself to get wrapped up in what the world thinks you need. I just got very deep, but I feel like this book is very deep. Like, I feel like it has a good depth to it while also being very lighthearted and fun. Now I'm getting into the books that I don't own, so I'll be looking down at my phone, so sorry about that. Next up, we have Tessa and Weston's Best Christmas Ever. I feel like I just had to put this book on the list. This is by Abbie Emmons. I love her. She's amazing. Wrote one of my favorite books of all time, 100 Days of Sunlight. This Christmas book is actually the sequel to that. So I would say, like, it definitely would be a good idea. So this is kind of a 2-in-1. If you haven't read 100 Days of Sunlight, go ahead and do that, and then read Tessa and Weston, The Best Christmas Ever. I feel like you probably could just pick up that book, but you might be kind of confused. That is my disclaimer. I know that's maybe a little bit annoying, but it's not, because when you read 100 Days of Sunlight, you will absolutely love that book, and this just gives you more of those characters, so you're welcome. This book, she just really gave the fans what they wanted. They wanted more of Tessa and Weston together. We got to see the first book. They don't really officially get together until like the end, and those are my favorite type of romances. I know that's spoilery, but you know that that's gonna happen, right? You know it's gonna happen, so it's not really spoilery. And so in this book, you get to actually see their relationship now that they've been through all of that, and this is just Christmas in a book. Everything you would want in a Christmassy book. Cozy visits to the bookstore, you know, baking and sledding and Christmas trees and decorating and family drama. Everything you would want, right? So the premise of this book, Tessa's mother, she doesn't really have a very great relationship with her. She's kind of has a very at arm's length relationship with her mother, just because she lives with her grandparents, and so she doesn't see her mom very often. She really couldn't give her the upbringing that she wanted for her child, and so basically got her parents to raise Tessa and to take care of Tessa. It's kind of an interesting situation. So her mom is staying for the Christmas time for a much longer time than she's ever spent, and it's because she wants to be more intentional about building a relationship with Tessa and kind of making it up to her that she hasn't really been very prevalent in her life. And Tessa is not okay with it. She's very upset about it. She's held a grudge against her mom for a long time because she's felt kind of abandoned, and kind of has a right to feel that way. She's kind of dealing with that. So it's not just purely, you know, this is not a cotton candy kind of book. I would say this is a bubblegum kind of book. You know, it's sweet, but it gives you something to chew on for a little bit. You know, there's some depth to it. It doesn't just dissolve like some books do. This book does have moodiness to it, a little bit of moodiness to it. It's mainly lighthearted, but it also has some depth to it because there's some internal conflict. A key word, if you have watched any of Abbie Emmons' videos and have heard any of her writing advice, this book has internal conflict. So the character, main character, she's struggling a little bit, and then Weston is also struggling because he's worried that the way she is feeling is maybe because of him, like he's doing something wrong. And then he's also trying to help her to actually spend time with her mom and stop shutting her out. There's a little bit of drama, you know, but it's like just a little bit of, it's good drama, it's healthy drama. Things that they ignored for a long time are actually being brought up to them, and they're having to reflect and actually deal with these problems. Definitely recommend this book if you want something that is just the epitome of Christmas while also having just a, you know, some nice depth to it, some actual, you know, character development and internal conflict. You know, life is not all sunshine and rainbows. There's difficulty, there's different things that we have to face, and there's certain times in our life where we have to reflect on our own problems, our own things that we need to get over. Again, I'm getting into deep, but like, see, like these books can teach you about life and teach you about, you know, yourself. And sometimes, like, it's so real, sometimes reading a book where the character's going through or experiencing something that you have felt yourself, and it's very therapeutic, I feel like, to see that and to see how they grow and to see how they navigate through that, because it makes you feel less alone even though this is a fictional character. So next up, let's take another shift. I know we shifted when I talked about Murder on the Orient Express. Let's do that again with rock, paper, scissors. Now, this book is insane. It is definitely a dark book. This is not a book to read. I know I talked about heartwarming. This is not a heartwarming book. This is like completely not at all a heartwarming book. Murder on the Orient Express, as dark as it is, you know, and grim, you know, a murder mystery, and you discover the end, and you still somehow, I know it's bizarre, but somehow you still have hope for humanity after reading this book. But Rock, Paper, Scissors is not really one of those books, I would say. It is very dark, and it's very gritty. The plot twist in this book is absolutely insane, and you wonder, how did I not see that the whole time? But of course you didn't see it the whole time, because that's the way it was written. But still, you still think like, wow, that's crazy. That was there the whole time, but I just assumed, and yeah, anyways. So this book is about a married couple, and they're struggling in their relationship and their marriage, and you know, they kind of feel like they might get a divorce, that they might break up because they just don't really like each other that much anymore. They've kind of started to fall out of love, and so they're going on this trip to this secluded like house, yeah, taking this vacation, and it's very snowy, wintry. I don't remember where they are, but they're kind of out in the middle of nowhere. They're staying in this house that might have been a church at one point, I think. There's two different timelines. So there's the present timeline, and then there's the past. And the past is supposed to kind of help you understand, okay, what went wrong? And there's two different perspectives, because there's the perspective of the wife, and then there's the perspective of the husband. Weird stuff starts happening while they're at this house. They kind of get stranded at one point. I think there's a problem with their car. It's very creepy, and what's going on, and there's this tenseness just from their relationship. There's definitely a strain on their relationship, and you begin to slowly uncover what is wrong with their relationship, what happened in the past. And then at the end, there's a plot twist, and it's insane. And if you want your brain to somersault in your head, I would even argue that the plot twist in this book is crazier than the one in this one. This one's pretty good. I will say this is pretty good. It's not her best, pretty good, but the plot twist in this book is crazy. But again, I would say maybe if you read that book, read this one after, read Little Women, read the Invention of Hugo, Cabret, read something that will give you a hug afterwards, because this book is gritty. It definitely, I enjoyed the experience of it because it was very interesting, but I don't know if I would pick it up again. I'm back after a little intermission. So I would definitely recommend Rock, Paper, Scissors if you want a thriller, but I would also recommend preparing, making sure you have a nice, happy book to read afterwards. So moving on, a perfect book to read after Rock, Paper, Scissors is The Lonely Hearts Book Club. This book is so cute. I love books like this that have this theme, or really just anything, any kind of media, whether it's video games, movies, books, that have the trope, I guess, of unlikely friends, and this book has that. So let me explain. Let me give you a little bit of a synopsis of the story. So there's this young woman, and she's working at the library, and there's this grumpy old man who everyone kind of runs away from. All the librarians try to avoid because he's just mean and he will usually insult you in some way, shape, or form. Slowly over time they build a rapport, and she begins to actually enjoy seeing him and view him, you know, kind of as a friend. And one day he just stops coming to the library, and he is a consistent, you know, patron of the library, so she's very concerned, and so she does a little digging, even though she's not really supposed to, but she finds out where he lives and she checks on him, and it turns out that he's actually sick and that he's bedridden. Because he's so grumpy, he keeps on scaring the nurses away that are coming to attend to him. Against his wishes, she starts taking care of him. Other people are kind of a part of this circle, so there's people that know her, there's people that know him. His grandson comes to check on him, but he's kind of scared of his grandfather, and then his neighbor, and they all just kind of slowly come together to create this book club. There's several different things that the characters struggle with. So there's, you know, a mother who struggles with her relationship with her daughter. The main character struggles with her relationship and just in general, like she struggles with grief, kind of her identity and what she wants to really do. They find this book club as a way to kind of work through those, through literature, through books, which I think is really cool. So each book that they read, they learn a lot from. I just think it's really beautiful. I just really love the idea of unlikely friends just coming together, finding common ground, finding commonality. I also really love just that books can teach us things. You know, people think of, you know, fiction stories and things like that. Sometimes they look down on those type of books because they just think like, you know, what can you really learn from a fictional story? There's a lot, like there's so much that you can learn. I'm probably preaching to the choir here. But yeah, so if you want a book that is for book lovers, then this is definitely a book for you. It's funny because I actually thought about making a video that was books for book lovers, books that are about loving books. I know it's kind of meta, but so maybe I'll make that video in the future, I don't know. Moving on, actually a nonfiction. It's The Happiness Project. One of my great friends let me borrow this book. This book is very inspirational. It's definitely the epitome of like a self-help sort of book. So if you're not really into that kind of thing, then this might not be for you. She takes a year adding new habits and lifestyle changes to her life in order to make herself happier. And her thought process is that she is happy, but she wants to be happier, sort of, or at least more often, that she wants to appreciate her life more and love her family better and enjoy her life more, and also just push herself to be a better person overall. And so I thought the idea was pretty interesting. So each month she focuses on a different goal that she has, and then by the end of the year the hope is that she will have maintained all of the goals. By simplifying it, by just having one goal to kind of focus on each month to kind of get used to, and then add on another one, makes it more practical to achieve and maintain. I feel like I learned a lot from this book, not necessarily of how to create my own happiness project. I'm definitely a very goal-oriented, very future-oriented person, and so I strive to each year think, like, really reflect on my year. I do really love New Year resolutions. A lot of people are very opinionated or very divisive on those. Most things, it's good to be balanced. It's like you shouldn't beat yourself up if you can't achieve these goals, but I think we do a whole lot better as people, as human beings, reflecting on behavior, our year, what we've accomplished, what we like, what we don't like, what we want to work on, actually being intentional to think about what you want your goals to be and making it tangible, making it realistic, making it measurable. I think that it's really good to have goals. I mean, everyone's different with what motivates them, and I think that is definitely very important, is knowing what motivates you. And I need something to encourage me. I need something to kind of spur me on. That's a whole nother video. A good book to read this winter time because it can get you inspired for the goals that you want to make for your New Year's resolutions. I just feel like December, this time of year, a good time to reflect on your year and just think about the good things that happened, maybe the bad things that happened, how you can grow as a person, how you can learn from maybe some of your mistakes. You just have to have at least one book one kind of self-helpy book for this time of year. And last but not least is The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. If you have not read this book, you need to. You definitely need to. It's an absolutely beautiful book, illustrated by the author and handwritten. It has the 4 characters, the boy, the mole, the fox, and the horse, and they all kind of represent different things. There's several theories about what they are supposed to represent. I love this book because I feel like it's perfect for all ages. I feel like you can learn something from this book. It's just kind of like a book of wisdom and just cuteness. Like the mole loves cake, and the fox is very shy and quiet and kind of misunderstood, and the horse is very wise. It's just adorable. And they actually came out with a little like animated movie which is absolutely stunning. I definitely recommend watching the movie. I just love it. It's just wonderful. Yeah, those are all of my book recommendations. For fall, I also shared my TBR for my winter TBR. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to read this winter. If you would like for me to share my winter TBR, definitely let me know. But either way, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you found something or maybe a bunch of books that you will be adding to your TBR this winter season. And definitely let me know in the comments what your winter recommendations are. What are some books that you plan to read this wintry season? Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day. Read a book and bloom on.